This woman simply took off her coat and, unexpectedly, transformed into a pregnant woman in the next second. When she entered the hotel as a pregnant woman, the security guard's vigilance immediately relaxed. Who would suspect that a pregnant woman was a top-tier assassin? Meanwhile, as she approached her target, she immediately displayed symptoms of mid-pregnancy discomfort. Sure enough, a security guard went to help find a drink. Using those precious few seconds, Lisa swiftly moved closer to the target and swapped phones while he was distracted. The phone would emit electromagnetic waves at the predetermined time, and the ambassador, who had undergone heart bypass surgery, died instantly. The plan went smoothly. When the security guard returned with the dessert, the target was already convulsing. The scene descended into chaos, and the entourage immediately called for emergency assistance. However, just as she was preparing to leave, a security guard burst in. As the only outsider present, no matter how perfect her disguise, suspicion was inevitable. Facing the exposure of her identity, Lisa remained calm. The professionalism of a career assassin had prepared her for everything. This boy was likely witnessing such a formidable pregnant woman for the first time. Lisa was agile and her moves were fierce, but the narrow space and her abdomen limited her attack speed. The opponent raised his hand and stabbed the fake belly with a knife. The fake pregnant woman's identity was exposed. The intense conflict made a low-key retreat impossible, but she still seized the opponent's weapon, preparing to force her way out. Surprisingly, she moved freely through the hail of bullets, as if she had extraordinary abilities and luck. However, Lisa was not fighting alone. The team behind the scenes had already made precise preparations for the retreat. As long as Lisa went down the employee staircase, she could escape the danger. However, to avoid being tracked, Lisa decided to change her plan at the last minute. When security broke down the door and discovered the broken glass window, they would inevitably conclude that the assassin had already left the building, but this was precisely the diversion. At this moment, Lisa arrived at the stairwell to change her identity. Within minutes, her golden hair vanished, replaced by a hotel uniform. She then walked into the corridor with composure. Despite the building having deployed personnel to intercept her, the target's features were completely different from her current appearance, so she could leave successfully as planned. Unexpectedly, her behind-the-scenes team was suddenly attacked. The liaison officer was knocked unconscious before he could react. This person forcibly altered the evacuation coordinates and was eager to confront Lisa face-to-face. According to the coordinates, Lisa arrived at the subway station. Her professional instinct told her she must completely sever all traces. For this, she underwent a second disguise. In the surveillance blind spot on the escalator, she transformed into a completely different appearance in just 10 seconds. On the other side, the man had already arrived at the designated location. He decisively pulled out a cart. When the two security guards were distracted, David immediately seized the opportunity to launch a surprise attack from behind. To ensure the operation's secrecy, he deliberately reduced the intensity to avoid casualties. However, the scratches on the headlights made him uneasy. Such flaws could easily expose his identity. At this point, there was no time to think further. This meeting was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If missed, it might never come again. He could only suppress his concerns and wait for the other party to appear.